Hi there. So I've been kind of obsessed with this Chris Watts case in Colorado, the terrible, tragic murder of his wife and child, which I'm grappling with. And I've seen loads of YouTube videos about it. So I don't know, it's really interesting. The whole sort of community fascinates me. And again, I only I'm making this. I normally wouldn't. I think it's a bit. I do feel a bit odd about it because we're talking about someone's life here, and that they lost their lives. Those gorgeous children and beautiful women, Shanann, Cece, and Bella. And it's really interesting seeing the people's opinions. And I've been watching The Armchair Detective quite a lot, and it's quite brilliant what he has to say. But everyone's full of these sort of theories. But the fact is that nobody knows what happened. Nobody actually knows. I mean, we know what Chris's second confession is saying, but I'm not sure I believe a word of what he said. His answers are flat. And then he sort of apes what the detectives are saying. When he's talking about them being in the car, the children being in the car and driving that 45 minutes to Survey 319, which sounds to me bonkers, because if you're laying a body down in the cab of the truck, and I don't know how he got it there, because that would be a difficult manoeuvre to do, and it's all on the camera, the neighbour's camera, children wouldn't be just sort of sitting there with their feet dangling over their mother's body and for 45 minutes without creating quite a stir. I mean, they were clever kids. And I've lost my train of thought. That's interesting, isn't it? It just doesn't make any sense that would happen. Oh, yeah, and the detective says, what were the kids doing? Were they just kind of, taking turns, sort of swapping around, leaning on one another? And Chris absolutely, a few minutes later, picks up on that and then repeats exactly the same verbiage that the detective has just used about what the children were doing in the back, because he doesn't have any clue, or it's a lie. So he can't say, oh, they were just saying that to me. That's this 45-minute journey in early hours of the morning. The kid's already up and awake, and Bella, the oldest one, I think, has already asked what's going on. She's going to be in a right state. So it doesn't make any sense. And also it doesn't make any sense that he's got there and he sort of puts her next to the truck. And then he gets the youngest child and he says he puts the blanket over her, and the other child doesn't really say anything. And then he just smothers the youngest one. Walks ages, a long way from that truck, from up the stairs, opens the shaft of the oil drum, and then puts her in. Then comes back down, and the other child had just been sitting there in the middle of the fields, just sort of sitting there, waiting for him. And then he goes back in, and he does the same thing to her, and all she says apparently is, "Are you going to do the same thing to me, Daddy?" No. It just doesn't ring true to me. It doesn't seem human. He's not expressing any human characteristics of anyone involved, which is really interesting. And whether that's something wrong in his mind, because he can't empathise, he's not very human, as in he doesn't really have human traits. He's not the brightest spark. He doesn't have any ideas of his own, any sort of anything strong to say, anything about anything. It's all just vague and sort of wishy-washy. Even the details, and it's funny because he can't remember any of the details, he says. He can't remember any details of what happened. It's all too convenient for me. And that's what I've just sort of been digging around, and because something doesn't ring true. Now, everyone is saying that this woman, Nicole Kessinger, is the mastermind behind this. And that may be true, but we will never know now, because obviously they're not going to get her, or they are still scrabbling behind the scenes trying to get something on her. So she should be very careful, because they might find something. But there's so many details as well that there's pictures, there's details, there's phone calls, there's people have noticed that the Vivint security system was going crazy around 4 something in the morning, and they asked Chris about this, and he said, "Oh, I don't know what I was doing," but he does know what he was doing. He does know exactly what he's doing, and also he says, that they woke up and had sex, him and Shanann. She got in at like 2 in the morning. Well, he woke her up at 4. She had 2 hours sleep, and he said, "Oh no, she wanted me to wake her up." Really? And then he says, "Oh, we had sex and stuff," and then I stayed sort of on, and then she put her hand on me or something, and then I sat on top of her, and I'm not sure, was she face down when he sat on top of her, or was she face up when he sat on top of her, because she's pregnant. And I don't know about you, but if I was pregnant and someone was sitting on top of me trying to talk to me about, a relationship and then confessing they were having an affair, I wouldn't be there for long. She wasn't there for long. But then he's saying about sort of the mascara on the pillow. So she was still wearing makeup. She was still wearing a bra. I don't know many women who wear bras during sex. All these things just don't make any sense to me. So if there was mascara on the pillow, was she lying and she was crying and that's where the mascara was coming? Or was she on her front? And he said she was something about being on her front. I doubt she would have been on her front. So, and then he just she said something about, you never see the children again after he's confessed to having an affair. And he, out of rage, strangles her. And he keeps saying, "Oh, it was the last straw." But the interesting thing is that in the second confession, and I guess the detectives did it because they say they're trying to learn, but I don't know, they're so clever they could be doing it for any reason. They're trying to learn what they could have done, and I guess that's feeding into Chris's, "Oh, okay, then I will educate them and tell them what they could have done differently and why I lied in the beginning." So they're all kind of boosting his ego and acting as if they're all friends and everything like that. It's very clever. But, they're sort of trying to figure out the same thing. Nothing really makes any sense. And I just don't know. I find it hard looking at him. I mean, I know that everything since the murder has been a complete pack of lies. Everything that he said, the TV interviews, massive mistake. But as a man, before this, I don't know how someone can survive in that environment with the Chris after the murders being sort of present, being the same person. Does that make any sense? That he just seemed like a genuinely normal, great guy. I mean, he's got a sense of humour. He was very passive in the relationship with Shanann that we see online, but we don't know much about their life, really. Nobody really knows about a marriage. But it just doesn't make any sense. And then in the second interrogation, he says that nothing makes any sense, that the fact that she's there doesn't make any sense. Who is she? And what does he mean, who was there? Was Nicole there? I mean, we don't know who came in the back of the house. Does he mean that someone was there? So he says all these little things. For me, I don't believe that he did it on his own. And for me, call me up on it, I don't mind. I'm not sure he did it at all. Because either he's a completely psychotic person, but it seems like, I mean, he's still saying how he misses Shanann's cooking. And he talks about them as if sort of they're still here, just maybe gone away or something like that. It doesn't either feel like it's sunk in with him, or he wasn't there and didn't do it. Because if you are a vaguely normal spectrum person and you had your hands on those 3 people like he said he did, I know he said he's found God, but it would eat you alive from the inside out. 24/7. and you would not be able to sit there and give a 5-hour-long interview without crying very much, vomiting. You know, you look at Oscar Pistorius in the doc, and whether that's a lie or not, he was vomiting. He was physically eaten from the inside out. Pain. I haven't seen any pain from Chris Watts. No pain. No genuine pain. And that makes me think all kinds of things. Either he's mentally so sick and one of the most dangerous people living, or he didn't do it alone. Or he didn't do it. It just, all the things that he said about the night, the morning, the murders, it's really convenient, vague, sort of pandering into what the officers want. And there's no pain in the story. And this makes me wonder about so many things. So please, anyone got any more information on this, please do contact me. Do like the video. I know it's just me talking, but yeah. All right. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.